everyone, Joe here, and I just came back from New York Comic Con 2023, and like many people that also went to the convention, I'm extremely tired. I'm extremely broke. Okay, not extremely broke, but I spent a lot of money. But I do want to show you all the cool stuff I got for the collection, and what I mean by cool stuff, I mean like not a lot, but still pretty cool to say the least. So yeah, let's take a look. So this is my third official Comic Con that I've been to. It's been, I think of all the three I've been to, I've been to 2021, 2022, and obviously this year. I think of all three of them, I think this one was my favorite one, as well as my most tiring one. I kind of did an increment where like 2021, I did 1 day, 2022, I did 2 days, and then 2023, I did 3 days. So I am extremely tired. I was already extremely tired by the end of day one, and I knew like I had 2 more days that were going to be extremely long as well. But I powered through. It's over as of this recording. I am... it's technically day 4 of the convention when I'm recording this, but like when this is getting posted, the convention is kind of over now. So just to reiterate, doing 3 days, Thursday to Saturday, it took a lot out of me. There was a friend of mine that actually joked around and said, "Hey, you should do the 4th day, just do the whole week." And I'm like, no. No, thank you very much. No, very thank you. But of course, like just in general, like, you know, New York Comic Con is not without its fault. It really isn't. It's honestly, of all the conventions that I've heard about, it is a very big one. It can be better. I will admit that as much as I think this one was the best one for me, in my opinion, I do admit there were a few things that they could have improved upon that hopefully they will take criticism to account this year and work about that for next year's New York Comic Con. So I'm hopeful that when we come back at this time period next year, that it will be an even better experience for both fans, for me, and for in general, just a creative thing. But of course, obviously, no convention is perfect. It's never going to be perfect because, you know, as much as you have millions of fans going to these conventions every year, you're going to have critiques from those certain few. You can never appease everyone. But it seems like it is slowly starting to improve as time goes on. So I'm very appreciative of that. So in terms of the collection compass side, you know, as me being the collector of sorts, you know, the Funko Pops, the Steelbooks, the DVDs, the Lightning Collection, mangas, you know, everything under the sun, I was actually surprised for me personally that I actually did not get to purchase as much as I was thinking of going into this convention. And not to say I was trying to budget myself at all, because when it comes to these conventions, you have to keep yourself open to the idea of like, hey, there's going to be stuff that you're going to be unaware that you might find, because no matter how much you can budget or plan ahead, you know, you never really know what you're going to find on a show floor until you get there. So to my surprise, I only found this one item, the SPD Red Ranger Lightning Collection, which is a one of the OGs that I missed when the wave first started back in 2018, 2019. And I was actually really surprised to find this for a very reasonable price of $20. Now, $20 is the MSRP for the entire Lightning Collection run before the increase to $26. So, but this was the MSRP back when the series first began. So I was very actually surprised to find this, because a lot of time people are selling these for like $40-$50, just how old it is. But thankfully, found it for $20. I said, screw it. I'm not gonna get it anywhere cheaper anywhere else. I decided to say screw it, and I picked it up. And that was actually the only thing I got. I mean, Funko Pop wise, I looked around. I couldn't find anything for me personally. You know, as many of you know, like as much as this wall has been growing massively in the past couple years. It doesn't exactly mean that, hey, it's going to be fully, you know, I'm going to get like a ton of them. Even like the actual Funko booth this year. For me personally, and this is going to be a loaded statement, mind you, I actually did not find anything appealing at all whatsoever. So that was actually one good thing that I talked about to my friends and now to y'all, that for me, for 2021 and 2022, I got so annoyed when I didn't get the Funko reservations, because I was wanting to get a bunch of them to get that limited edition sticker, but I did not. I really actually did not, and I had to go for the retailers, deal with that on the Friday during the convention, which is usually when like all the share retailers would get their stockpile for anyone who is not going for New York Comic Con directly. And this year, I was actually very surprised with the announcements they made that there was nothing that I wanted. Now, I was actually surprised. I looked at the entire list. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't want anything. And there was some, like, when they were leaking them before, I was like kind of hoping that we were going to be more like what I was personally wanting to get. But then when they came out and everything, I was like, nah, this isn't really it for me. So actually it actually increased my mood, because I didn't have to worry about that on the back end. So I was really happy about that. But it doesn't mean Funko Pops did not go without love, because another reason to people going to these conventions is to meet the guests. And it was such a big lineup this year, mainly due to the big three of the special guests, the featured guests of honor, as they were. We had Ewan McGregor from Star Wars, we had Chris Evans from the MCU, and we also had Tom Hiddleston, who plays Loki, also still in the MCU. So those were the big three. But when they were initially announcing these, the entire event itself, it was just Ewan and Chris. That was the big two that everyone wanted to get because, again, we're still kind of reeling in from the pandemic. A lot of these big name stars were not able to come even last year, even though the pandemic was kind of over by then. Because, it was still it's an adjustment period. The pandemic took a lot out of people in 2020. 2021 was just starting the idea of conventions back up again and then building our way back up to the top. And then 2022 was more like getting the idea comfortable with the fact that these guests could come in, present themselves to the larger mat. And this year was it felt like, yes, we're kind of going back to how things were before the pandemic, which makes me excited in terms as a fan, but as well as a consumer who spends a lot of money in these events. My wallet is not happy per se. So I did get a fair amount of my Funko Pop signed because I do that. I do have a handful of Funko Pop signed currently right now. Some being from past conventions, specifically Goku, Vegeta, Deku's voice actors from the animes that I watch, as well as having a Tom Hiddleston one that my friend gifted to me many, many years ago before the pandemic. So I was actually grateful to now complete we'll talk more about that later. I'm actually jumping a little bit ahead of myself. So the prime three I got this time around were for Shazam, Winnie the Pooh, and Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima. So to start with the Jin Sakai one, I was actually surprised on actually, because last year I made a mistake of, there was an actor that was at the con at one of not the main show floor, not the main show, at the main signing booths, but they were on the show floor. I was already trying to budget myself a lot last year, so I did not go there, which I regret because I was kind of trying to figure out how did I want to do signings. Because I did want to meet the people. I did want to actually, converse with them, express my feelings of being a fan of theirs. So I did miss out on that. So going this year, I knew that if I was to find anyone on the show floor, that I would, get it signed. If I do have an existing Funko Pop, my rule is I'm not going to try and force myself to get a Funko Pop just for the sake of having the signature, because that would be disingenuous for me. So if it was already existing, if I already have, so starting with this one, which is the actor, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Daisuke Tsuji. I could be pronouncing that extremely wrong. He was on the show floor, only for Friday only. Very nice man. I do apologize that I didn't really know, because as much as I have his Funko Pop, I did love Ghost of Tsushima in 2020. It wasn't my game of the year, but it was in my top 3. It wasn't one that I was blown away by the cast. I'm not trying to say that as a bad thing. I think all the cast members in Ghost of Tsushima did a very, very amazing job. It's just, for me, it's it's not one of those the big, it's with a personal sentiment to me, or someone that I somehow know pretty well via my hobbies and my activities that I do when I'm not working on anything else. So it wasn't something that I was oh my god, I have a lot to converse with you about. It was kind of standard in my opinion. I do admit that I could have been a little bit more excitement. I just want to get my Funko Pop signed. And what a cool thing he did, he actually put in a Japanese, I forget what the term is. I think he wrote my name in Japanese. So I was I was actually pretty happy about that. I really was. So shout out to him for doing so. Next up, we have my Winnie the Pooh, my little adorable Winnie the Pooh Valentine's Day Hot Topic edition. Funny enough, I actually was a long story about this one. I won't get too much into it, but I actually bought this for someone in my past a few years ago, and I never gave it to them for reasons that I won't get into. That's kind of personal. But I never gave it to them, so I actually kept it for myself. Now, this is one of the few examples where I broke my code, because this wasn't planned to be a Funko Pop for me. It was planned for someone else. That a stickler for me is that when it comes to Funko Pop, I rather have them have their series name on the top. So I would have rather this have Winnie the Pooh's logo instead of the Disney logo. So this is the only exception to my collection that I have that right here, right now. Because again, it wasn't meant for me, it was meant for someone else. So when I added it to my collection, it's kind of like the black sheep of the franchise. So that's what I did. So with this one, actually, this was the only non-planned one, because I planned on my shit pretty much directed to the T. So I did not know that the actor for Winnie the Pooh was going to be there, Jim Cummings. I wasn't aware he was going to be there until I got to the show floor and I saw it. And I was like, oh shit, I have his Funko. So thankfully he was there the whole 4 days. So I went over on Friday, got to see him. Very nice man, very sweet man. And yeah, so he signed it for me. And on the side profile, which I'm not really a big fan of having anything on the side profile because I can't really display it, but he wrote Pooh's name in like the actual, like the handwriting he would in the animation for Disney. And I was like, that's honestly really, really cool to get that extra touch from him. Very sweet man, very nice man. Definitely, you know, would love to like, you know, see him again, hopefully speaking, down the road. And lastly, but not least, we have Shazam, the OG Shazam from the first movie, signed by Zachary Levi. So, fun story, and this goes into my criticisms of New York Comic Con, where, so I believe they announced the unlike other conventions I have looked into, that they're the only ones that announce a lot of the guests before badges go on sale. So people know, like, for sure that, okay, I'm definitely going there for this guest or for this person. And as much as that is a very, 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 very cool offer to get, it also makes the fans very excited for them to get into it. So when they announced that Chris Evans and Ian McGregor were going to be at New York Comic Con this year, I knew for Hoha I at least wanted to see Chris Evans. He was a pretty big staple in my growing up here because, again, he was Captain America, the MCU, such a big mark with in the Infinity Saga, so I knew I had to see him. But Zachary Levi was also on the list, and I'm like, hey, I got 2 Shazam Funko Pop. I would love to get one of them signed. So I opted to get the OG signed instead of Fury of the Gods. Not to say Fury of the Gods was a bad movie. In my opinion, it was good, just wasn't as great as the first one. So I knew that if I was going to get any of these signed, it was going to be the first Shazam one, so which I did. So when Ewan sold out in both photo and autos, and then Chris sold out because the moment they released the all the photos and autos for everyone for Comic-Con, it was a shit show. It really was. The website crashed. Anyone who got lucky to get any auto and photo at that original time period were lucky as hell to get them. And honestly, it was commendable that for me to try, and then I failed. So I said, screw it. Zachary was going to be like my guest of the show, like the biggest name I was going to get at the time. But we'll talk more about that. Like he was supposed to be, and then that changed a couple months after. So that was the plan. Very sweet man, very, very nice man. You know, despite, you know, some people have their opinion of him, you know, I mean, it's morally showmanship and everything, you know, it's the way you treat your fans, because sometimes you can go to these signings or photo ops, and they could be very much like, not super mean, but like, they could also be like, yeah, like, you know, I'm just here for like, you know, show or contractual obligation. But again, very sweet man, very, very nice man. I had no problems with any of the people I had met during my time period there at the convention. I did not have an issue whatsoever because I didn't. I was very happy about that. But I said there were still more people because, you know, obviously these were the only signings I got because that was the only ones I was able to do. But before I get to like some of the big stuff that I actually, you know, did able to do, like, you know, the premiere things, a couple of like little tidbits I got this pretty cool Spider-Man 2 bag, and it's really freaking cool. I love Spider-Man 2. I can't wait for the game to come out this week at the time of this posting as well for the game. I can't wait to play that for obscene hours on end. I really can't wait. And and all the big size bags that they received, because they had one for Dragon Ball Super, they have some other ones for like the mini animes that were still kind of going on at the time. But Spider-Man 2 was like my number one, like I needed to do this. And it also like doubles as like a backpack, so like if you don't want to carry this around, because I believe the handles are inside. Actually no, there are no handles, it's just a backpack bag. So I'm like, you know what? It's actually pretty. You know, to keep your arms, you know, mobile and not. And you know, it honestly was really cool. I really do. I'm definitely gonna keep this one for a long, long while. And while this wasn't a Comic-Con pickup, it's just one of those. How do I fit this in to any of my videos coming up? Because there really isn't anything on the calendar for this one per se. My friend gave me this Harry Potter 4K Steelbook set, which is the exact one I wanted. It's for my birthday coming soon. They dropped it off to me on Comic-Con technically, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna include it in the Comic-Con video. I'm gonna say screw it. It does technically count as Comic-Con weekend, so as a pickup. So I picked it up. It's in mint condition. It's in the original plastic, and I'm gonna feel very, very sorry when I eventually have to take this out to put it on the wall. So I'm gonna leave it. I haven't purchased any new shelf pieces yet for that, so that's gonna have to wait a while, in my opinion, about it, because I'm gonna feel sorry the day I have to rip that up. I really do, because I got any mint inbox collector is gonna be like, you dumbass. But I'm like, you know what? I'm a different man. I'm a very, very different man, so to speak. I very much am. And the last thing from my Comic-Con experience personally is that this is an unofficial collection. I guess it started this trip. because just how I got the idea to present these. But so there are autographs with these guests, with these celebrity guests that you go see at conventions, because that's usually another allure in of, like, not just the community aspect of it, of getting to meet other people, meeting other fellow in the fandoms, as well as going out to buy a obscene amount of stuff with your wallets. It's also with these guests and everything, just to get, not to get things signed, but to get photos with them. So a cool thing that I did, that I actually got to get photo ops for a few selected people. First off, I mentioned before, was Shazam himself with Zachary Levi. Very nice man. He actually remembered me from, and I guess I saw him on the same day. So, like, it eventually, as much as the faces blend together, because you have dozens and hundreds of fans you're meeting every single day, he does. He did remember me briefly, and it could be just a courtesy thing and whatsoever. But it did seem genuine that he did recognize me from the signing area, which I did first, and then the photo op. So I found that to be very cool as well. So again, shout out to Zachary Levi for that experience. And again, that would have been the cap of the whole trip. That would have been. And then, so as I mentioned before, I was unable to get Chris Evans signing or photo op when they originally released them. And then, so I gave up on that. I decided to let Zach be the primary showcase for me this trip. And then I was like, no, fate told me a little bit differently, because they announced Tom Hiddleston, a.k.a. Loki, from the MCU. And I was like, well, I tried for him to get his signing. I was unable to do so because sold out on that front, but I was able to get his photo op. A very sweet man, very tall, mind you. He's a very tall man, and very nice man, very, very, very nice. Again, the thing with, like, the A-listers of the celebrity field, like, literally, not gonna lie to you, like, you can spend hundreds of dollars at these events. It does not guarantee you're going to spend any amount of time with them whatsoever. These are mainly 10 to 50-second engagements that you're gonna get out of them, which this one was. These are such the biggest lines I've been to ever in Comic-Con. I think, like, this is the height of them. I mean, I'll have to get an RDJ or someone like that in the future, which, it can be possible. It's within the realm of possibility, but, like, it's one that, like, it's gonna be extremely hard to see. But, like, in general, like, seeing these lines, seeing the fandom, like, really react to these, and, like, the way it was such a machine, it felt like an industrial process to get everyone in. It was still very nice. He was still very much a charismatic person, very sweet. My friend actually describes my photos, like, because my hand can be seen caressing his side stomach, and my friend was like, "Are you holding him like a prom photo?" Which I'm like, that wasn't the intention. I didn't know that was gonna be caught on camera. The man's very thin, like, he's a very thin, fit man, and I have long arms, so I'm like, because that's just how I always do these photo ops. That's how I always do it. Like, just have their, like, they allow, like, every person you meet, every guest you're going to meet has very different standards. Some of them are like that. They would like to be close to you. They can be close to you should they allow you to do it, but never force yourself to do something if they don't want to do it. If it was just meant to be like simplistic, hey, just stand here, no arm connection, just, look at the camera, smile, and that's it. Okay, yeah, that is how it is. Everyone is different, mind you. And then, on the flip side of things, a few weeks after I got Tom's, photograph, which was very expensive, Chris was announced to get a restock. So I got the restock, and so I met Chris Evans as well. Again, I think Chris Evans was, like, even more industrial than Tom, because Chris was, like, double Tom size. He was double, mainly in the meant of, like, he had more people to see. Tom was very much, not fewer, but, like, just not as much as was anticipated. So with that being said, like, again, shout out to the whole thing. But, Chris was, like, I think the premier guest of the three of Ewan, which I didn't meet. I opted not to get him. Tom, and for him, he was the premier, because, like, there is so much more security for him. And again, like, he's a big, like, he's Captain America, the original Captain America. So, like, he's going to have that high level of security. But as well as as an actor, he's just done so much with his career. Obviously security supported with these actors, because you never really know what the fandom's going to do, because fans be crazy sometimes. Again, with Chris, same thing. Very respectful, very simple. Straight to the point. Again, I'm not asking for, like, you don't get the like a meet and greet or something like that where you get to engage with these actors. They just don't have time, because there's just millions of fans out there. But I was very grateful that I never had a single negative experience with anyone, and this year being the most I met, I was very thankful I didn't have any issue with any of that. And, I was very grateful on the whole thing. So I kind of already have so I have 4 right now of these photo ops, which I've only gotten at Comic-Con so far, because that's the only convention I go to. I don't really travel because, for conventions, because there's just too many to go to and a lot of money. So I just let New York City Comic-Con be the only one that I actually, that's my premier go-to with all of that. But, just in general, I was very happy with just the whole experience, obviously. So I kind of have this mini collection of photo ops, which I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet. I'll wait till next year. I'll see how that all goes when I have more of them. Who knows what next year's is going to bring up, how much more money I'm going to spend, maybe how much less money I'm going to spend. Who the heck knows? But until any of that happens, right now, I'm just very happy with the whole experience. As much as the collection did not grow as much as I was expecting them to do it, I'm still very happy just the way it all turned out at the end of the day. As well as, at the end of the day, it's not just the physical collections we get, it's also the memories we collect along the way that we'll remember for many, many years to come, where eventually when I show my kids the MCU and they see Captain America, I will show them this picture. I'm like, your dad's met Captain America before. He's met Chris Evans, the actor, as well as, Loki and, all the other stories. I'm going to be a cool dad someday. I don't know where I'm going with that. But for the time being, let me know in the comments below. Did you go to New York Comic Con? What was your experience? Would you love to go someday? Love to have a conversation with you all about that. But thank you so much for watching this very sentimental video here on the Collection Compass. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring the bell for no more videos such as this one. But until we see each other again, stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.